You are running out of time to know this. 10 major companies: Drunk Elephant, The Ordinary, CeraVe, Clinique, Revita Lash, Grande Cosmetics, Roden & Fields, Burt's Bees, La Roche-Posay, and Mario Badescu are in documented legal, chemical, and regulatory crisis in 2026. Federal lawsuits, EU safety bans, FDA recalls. Over $100 million in combined active class action settlements, and that number is still climbing. And there's a pattern behind all of it. Multinational corporations you have never heard of acquired these brands, stripped their quality controls, and kept cashing in on your loyalty while the formulas quietly changed. Here are 10 skincare brands that are in deep trouble, and what that trouble means for the products sitting on your shelf right now. Different brand names, different price points, different promises, same script. Let's count them down. Number 10, Mario Badescu, the secret steroid. Let's start with the one that took the longest to unravel. Mario Badescu has been a skincare institution. The white jar, the iconic green and black label, dermatologist-adjacent branding. The healing cream and control cream sat in millions of bathrooms as trusted, everyday products, the kind of thing people bought without thinking twice for years. Priced between $18 and $30, they felt like a responsible, affordable choice. And then the lawsuits started coming. Restaino et al. Versus Mario Badescu, Inc., with individual filings updated through 2025 and 2026, alleges that those creams contained an unlisted prescription-strength steroid, triamcinolone acetonide, not disclosed on the label, not mentioned anywhere in the marketing. A corticosteroid operating at higher than prescription doses on unknowing consumers every single day. Here is what that does to your skin in plain language: it thins it. Prolonged steroid exposure causes skin atrophy. The actual tissue becomes fragile and damaged. It causes folliculitis, inflammation of the hair follicles, and when people stopped using the product, their skin went into steroid withdrawal, erupting in pustules because it had become chemically dependent on something it never knew it was taking. The specific products at the center of the suits have since been discontinued, but the personal injury litigation is still active, and the damage to the people who use those products is not discontinued at all. That is how this list starts: a trusted brand, an unlisted drug, skin that will never fully recover, and it gets much worse from here. Number 9, Burt's Bees, the natural PFAS problem. Stay with me, because this next one is going to make you look at 100% natural labels very differently. Burt's Bees, the yellow packaging, the beeswax, the brand that built its entire identity for decades on being the safe, clean, natural choice. The All Aflutter mascara and lip shimmer retail for between $10 and $13 at Target, Walmart, and CVS. Accessible, trustworthy, natural. Except independent testing found 357 parts per million of organic fluoride in the mascara. Organic fluoride is a marker for PFAS, pure and polyfluoroalkyl substances. You may have heard them called forever chemicals. They are called that because they do not break down in the body or in the environment. They accumulate, and they have been linked to hormonal interference, liver damage, and reproductive issues. The class action lawsuit Spindle versus Burt's Bees, case number 4:22-CV-01928, Northern District of California, active through 2025 and 2026, alleges that the brand intentionally used PFAS compounds, including polytetrafluoroethylene, to increase the water resistance of their products and then hid it from the labels behind the 100% natural promise. Think about where lip shimmer goes. It gets ingested. It sits on your lips and goes into your body. And Burt's Bees is owned by the Clorox Company, a corporation with every resource available to know exactly what is in their formulas. Thousands of consumers switched to Burt's Bees specifically for safety reasons. They traded one concern for a worse one they did not know about. Number 8. La Roche-Posay, The FDA recall. This one is different because this is not just a lawsuit allegation. This is an FDA recall, an actual government action. La Roche-Posay Effaclar Duo Dual Action Acne Treatment, $39.99. Sold at Ulta, Amazon, and Walgreens. Dermatologist recommended. One of the most trusted clinical skincare brands on the market, especially for people with sensitive or reactive skin. In March 2025, the FDA initiated a voluntary recall of a specific lot MYX46W, of Effaclar Duo. The reason? Elevated benzene contamination. Benzene, in an acne treatment, a known human carcinogen linked to leukemia and bone marrow damage in a product dermatologists were actively recommending for daily use. And La Roche-Posay is not done yet. The brand is also facing a 2026 class action over its Anthelios SPF 60 sunscreen, alleging the sun protection factor is dramatically overstated and provides far less protection than the label claims. Here's what makes this particularly hard to swallow. The people buying La Roche-Posay are often the most careful consumers in the room. They read labels, they listen to dermatologists, they pay a premium specifically to avoid exactly this kind of risk. And the FDA recall is the document confirming that the trust was misplaced. Think about what a recall actually means in practice. It means the FDA tested the product, found a carcinogen at dangerous levels, and determined the public needed to be warned. That is not a precautionary measure. That is a response to documented harm. And La Roche-Posay is owned by L'Oréal, the same corporation appearing in the CeraVe benzene litigation. Same parent company, same ingredient problem, two different brand names, one corporate decision maker. Number 7, Roden & Fields, the $38 million eye problem. Okay, this is where I need you to really pay attention, because this next one is about your eyes. Roden & Fields is a multi-level marketing skincare company. Their enhancements, Lash Boost Serum retails for $155, sold exclusively through consultants in their official website. MLM structure, premium price point, aggressive social selling. You have probably seen it on someone's Instagram. The product contains isopropyl cloprostenate, a prostaglandin analog. In plain language, that is a drug compound that acts on receptors around the eye. The documented side effects include macular edema, swelling of the retina, and muscle weakness around the eye socket. Roden & Fields paid $38 million to resolve class action lawsuits. Schur versus Roden & Fields, San Francisco Superior Court, alleging they failed to warn consumers about those serious side effects. Payout cycles have continued through 2026. $38 million for a lash serum, sold through a network of consultants who had no clinical training to warn you what the ingredient in that silver tube could do to your retina. And here's something worth sitting with. The MLM structure is not incidental to this story. When you buy through a consultant, a friend, a neighbor, someone in your Facebook group, there is social pressure baked into the transaction. You are not just buying a product, you are trusting a relationship. And Roden & Fields built a distribution model that converted personal trust into sales volume, while the corporate entity behind it knew the ingredient profile carried undisclosed medical risks. And this is not the only brand on this list with that exact same ingredient. Stay with us. We are halfway through this list, and it only gets worse from here. If this kind of accountability work is what you came here for, hit subscribe now so you do not miss what comes next. We track the brands, the marketing departments hope you stop watching, and we name the people who actually own the company. Now, back to the list. Number 6, Grand Cosmetics. The $6.25 million secret. Let me ask you something. If a brand knew its product contained an unapproved drug, one the FDA says should only be used under physician supervision, and sold it to you anyway without saying a word, What would you call that? Grande Cosmetics calls it Grande Lash MD Lash Enhancing Serum, $68, gold metallic tube, sold at Sephora and Ulta. The active compound is isopropyl cloprostenate, the same prostaglandin analog we just covered in Rodin and Fields. The FDA has specifically warned that this ingredient should only be used under physician supervision. The documented risks include complete loss of eyelashes, ocular inflammation, iris discoloration, eyelid ptosis, drooping, and fat loss around the eye socket. That condition even has a clinical name, prostaglandin-associated periorbitopathy. Nixon versus Grande Cosmetics, LLC, case number 1:22-CV-06639, District of New Jersey, resulted in a $6.25 million settlement, approved July 18, 2024, with active claims continuing through 2026. The allegation: undisclosed drugs in a product marketed as a cosmetic serum. 2 brands in a row, same ingredient, same eye damage, tens of millions of dollars in settlements, and both products are still being actively marketed as cosmetic lash serums at Sephora. Here is the detail that should stop you cold. The FDA classification of isopropyl cloprostenate as a drug, not a cosmetic ingredient, means these brands were not selling you a serum. They were selling you a pharmaceutical product without a prescription, without physician oversight, without the clinical safety disclosures that any legitimate drug requires. Grande Cosmetics collected $68 per tube for that. Nixon versus Grande Cosmetics says the consumer never got to make an informed choice. Number 5, Revitalash, the eye that changes color. If you thought the last 2 entries were serious, stay right here, because Revitalash is the most documented version of this exact story. The Revitalash Advanced Eyelash Conditioner retails for between $59 and $152 at Nordstrom, Derm Store, and Amazon. Silver metallic tube, precision brush applicator, loyal following. And yes, it works. It grows lashes. Nobody disputes that. But in February 2026, the EU Scientific Committee on Consumer Safety issued Opinion SCCS/1680/25, a final, definitive ruling that the key active ingredient, DDDE, dichloro-dihydroxy-defluoroethylcloprostenolamide, and its predecessor, isopropyl cloprostenate, cannot be considered safe for cosmetic use. Full stop. In plain language, here is what these prostaglandin analogs do when you apply them daily near your eyes. They activate receptors in the ocular tissue. The documented results include permanent iris darkening. Your eye color changes, and it does not change back. Periorbital fat atrophy. The fat pad around your eye socket shrinks, causing a sunken, hollow appearance, and eyelid hyperpigmentation through the activation of melanocytes. These are not theoretical. Athena Cosmetics paid $4.17 million on January 30, 2026, specifically for failing to disclose these side effects to consumers. The product is already banned in California and Canada. The FDA is expected to reclassify OTC prostaglandin serums as prescription drugs in late 2026, which would pull them from Sephora and Ulta shelves entirely. That TikTok trend of people saying their eyes look more sunken, darker around the socket after using lash serums. They were not imagining it. The EU's top scientific safety body confirmed it in writing in February 2026, and this is the 3rd consecutive brand on this list selling the same class of unapproved drug compound as a cosmetic product at retail. Rodin and Fields, Grande Cosmetics, Revitalash. 3 different brands, 3 different price points, 3 separate legal actions. The ingredient is the same. The lack of disclosure is the same. The eye damage is the same. At some point, this stops being a coincidence and starts being an industry-wide decision to prioritize a category of product that works visibly, quickly, photographically, over the long-term safety of the people using it. Number 4. Clinique, the benzene in your acne treatment. Have you ever bought something because a dermatologist recommended it, and then found out later that the recommendation came with a risk nobody disclosed? That is Clinique, the acne solutions all-over clearing treatment. $34 to $39, light blue tube. Sephora, Ulta, Macy's, owned by Estee Lauder, one of the most recognizable names in department store skincare for decades. The active ingredient is benzoyl peroxide at 2.5%, a standard acne-fighting compound. What Clinique did not put on the label is what happens to that compound over time. Odea versus Clinique Laboratories, LLC, case number 1:24-CV-2750, Northern District of Illinois, filed 2024, active through 2026, alleges that benzoyl peroxide is inherently unstable and naturally degrades into benzene during distribution and consumer storage. Benzene. In an acne treatment you are rubbing on your face every day. A known human carcinogen, toxic to bone marrow and cellular DNA, absorbed dermally and through inhalation in a warm bathroom. The lawsuit describes the product as worthless because what you are actually buying, once the degradation begins, is a carcinogen delivery system that no longer even works as an acne treatment. Clinique has built its reputation on being the allergy-tested, dermatologist-developed, safe choice for sensitive skin. The litigation says that reputation was not matched by the chemistry. Number 3. CeraVe, the dermatologist favorite with a benzene problem. This one is going to be hard to hear. Because CeraVe is not a luxury brand making aspirational promises. CeraVe is the brand dermatologists tell their patients to use, the responsible, science-backed, affordable choice. The Acne Foaming Cream Cleanser, $14 to $17, Target, Walmart, CVS, owned by L'Oreal USA. Ceramides, glycerin, benzoyl peroxide at 4%. Gomes versus L'Oreal, USA, case number 2:24-CV-00663, Western District of Louisiana, active 2024 through 2026, alleges that the benzoyl peroxide in CeraVe's cleanser is inherently unstable and degrades into benzene. Independent laboratory testing by Velisure, a respected third-party lab, found benzene levels in benzoyl peroxide products up to 800 times the FDA's allowable limit of 2 parts per million when exposed to common household temperatures. 800 times, not 8% over, not double, 800 times the limit in a bathroom that gets warm when you shower. The lawsuit also alleges that L'Oreal knew the manufacturing process could be changed to stabilize the benzoyl peroxide and prevent benzene formation, and chose not to because the current process was cheaper. Dermatologists across the country recommended this product in good faith. Their patients used it daily in warm bathrooms for years, and the litigation says L'Oreal had a fix available and decided the cost savings were worth more than the safety. That last point deserves to land properly. This is not a case where the science was unknown. Velisure's independent testing, published March 6, 2024, was available. The benzene formation mechanism from benzoyl peroxide degradation was documented. The alternative manufacturing process existed. The litigation alleges L'Oreal looked at the cost of switching and looked at the cost of doing nothing, and made a choice. The dermatologist recommendation on the label stayed, the formula stayed, and the carcinogen stayed with it. Number 2, The Ordinary, the growth serum that causes shedding. Before we get to number 1, I want to pause on this one because The Ordinary built something genuinely rare in the beauty industry, a brand that made clinical skincare accessible to everyone, No luxury markup, no celebrity endorsement, just ingredients, concentrations, and a commitment to telling you exactly what the formula does. The multi-peptide serum for hair density. $21 to $23. Amber glass bottle, dropper format. Sold at Sephora, Ulta, Target, and Amazon. Manufactured by Decum, now owned by Estee Lauder. The promise is fuller, thicker hair. And here is where it gets complicated, because the product is not necessarily lying about what it does. The peptide complexes inside, including redensyl and capixyl, are designed to kick hair follicles back into the active growth phase. That is real science. The problem is what happens when you fire that mechanism all at once in a sensitive individual. Consumer reports flooding Reddit and Sephora reviews in early 2026 document something called follicle shock, a mass transition where too many follicles enter the resting phase simultaneously, causing clumped shedding and bald spots on previously healthy scalps. The formula also operates at an acidic pH of 4.75 to 5.75, which can be too aggressive for anyone with pre-existing scalp conditions like seborrheic dermatitis. The brand's failure is straightforward. They never warned users that an initial shedding phase was possible. People saw clumps of hair in the drain and panicked. Many stopped using the product immediately. Some may have stopped right before it would have worked. At $23, this is the most accessible product on this list, which means the number of people experiencing this and not connecting it to the amber bottle on their shelf is enormous. Number 1. Drunk Elephant, the tween contamination crisis. We saved this one for last, not because it is the most financially catastrophic brand on this list, but because it is the most complete version of the pattern we have been building toward. A corporation, a broken promise, and the most vulnerable consumers absorbing the consequences. Drunk Elephant is built on a philosophy called the Suspicious Six. 6 categories of ingredients the brand refuses to use. No essential oils, no drying alcohols, no fragrances, no chemical sunscreens, no SLS, no silicones. The Lala Retro Whipped Cream is $60 to $64 for 50 milliliters, sold at Sephora, Ulta, Amazon, and Kohl's. Managed under Shiseido's global portfolio. Clean, safe, thoughtful, premium. In November 2024, Drunk Elephant issued a voluntary recall of Lala Retro batches. Why? During production at a contract facility, preservatives were swapped out for surfactants, an ingredient mix-up. Without a preservation system, the product became a breeding ground, specifically for Candida parapsilosis, a yeast that causes skin infections and folliculitis, especially in people with any compromise in their skin barrier. An unlisted surfactant called Meritane CBS was also found in leave-on formulas, triggering acute skin reactions in consumers who had no idea it was there. And then, on January 2, 2026, the Environmental Research Center filed a Proposition 65 notice against Drunk Elephant for undisclosed carcinogenic diethanolamine found in related product SK-US. Now, here's the dimension that makes this the #1 entry. Drunk Elephant became a status product for Gen Alpha, 11 and 12-year-olds, kids walking into Sephora with their holiday money and spending $60 on a whipped cream because they saw it on TikTok. Parents who assumed that a $60 product from a clean brand built on a philosophy of ingredient elimination was safe for their child's skin started reporting chemical rashes and fungal breakouts through 2025 and 2026. TikTok is full of it. Shiseido has every resource in the world to maintain rigorous batch testing at contract facilities. The Suspicious Six philosophy created an expectation of safety that parents trusted enough to put on their children's faces, and contaminated product made it to market anyway. A brand that staked its entire identity on knowing exactly what goes into and stays out of its formulas sent a product without a preservation system to children's skin. And children's skin paid for it. That is the pattern at its most complete. 10 brands, 4 corporations, L'Oreal, Estée Lauder, Shiseido, Clorox. One pattern. Your loyalty was the asset. Your safety was the cost. This was never about a bad batch or a single formulation mistake. It was about systemic failure. A corporation acquires or owns a beloved brand, inherits its loyal customer base, cuts manufacturing oversight to protect margins, and keeps marketing the original promise long after the product stopped delivering it safely. The benzene does not appear by accident. The missing preservative does not disappear by accident. These are the consequences of prioritizing quarterly returns over your skin, your eyes, your hormones, your children. L'Oreal owns CeraVe and La Roche-Posay, 2 brands dermatologists trust, through active benzene litigation. Estée Lauder owns Clinique and The Ordinary through active consumer injury claims. Shiseido managed Drunk Elephant through a contamination recall that reached children's skin. Clorox owns Burt's Bees through a Forever Chemicals lawsuit. These are not faceless forces. These are named corporations with named executives and named shareholders. You are not crazy for noticing your skin got worse after switching to the Safe brand. The Proposition 65 notice filed January 2, 2026 confirms it. You're not crazy for noticing your eyes look different after using that lash serum. The EU Scientific Committee confirmed it in writing in February 2026. You are not crazy for noticing more hair in the drain after starting the growth serum. Hundreds of verified adverse event reports confirm it. Your instincts were the first data point. The litigation caught up. You did not choose bad products. You were sold a promise by corporations that stopped honoring it the moment cost-cutting began. If this kind of accountability work is what you came here for, hit subscribe. We track the brands the marketing departments hope you stop watching, and we name the people who actually own the company. Next time on this channel, we walk through the 10 skincare ingredients still legal in American beauty products that have been banned in Canada, Europe, or Japan, and the lobby groups working to keep them on your shelf. The brands left quietly. You do not have to.